Hello Cherries fans, welcome to Back of the Net. Thank you for watching. If you've not done it already, make sure you press the subscribe button and give this video a like, because this is the big match preview as Cherries host Newcastle United this weekend. My name's Sam Davis.
And my name's Ted MacDougall.
Ted MacDougall, Cherries legend here. You were expecting Tom Jordan's name, weren't you? But no, it's Ted. How are you, Ted? You doing all right?
I haven't got the cap.
You should have. How are things?
Yeah, good. I'm pleased to be here in the old stomping ground. So it's good, and things could be a little bit better. But hey, rather bring a little bit of positivity and a little bit of sunshine to the scene, and feel good about things. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
You certainly picked a spicy one this weekend.
It wasn't run through anything that we had a meeting in Hampshire Thursday, and I decided if I could stay till Sunday, and then and then I could go and see Eddie and see what's going on at the club. And we went down there today with Neil Voucher, and basically it was great. Don't overstay your welcome. Is the motto. Yeah. So that's what we try to do. And
as we said, it is a big one. It's going to be a weird atmosphere, actually. I think a lot of Cherries fans are going to feel potential frustration, bittersweet joy, nostalgia, ups, downs, but ultimately a whirlwind of emotions, of which two men will come into focus. One of them being Eddie Howe, of course, but the other one, current head coach Gary O'Neill. Here's what's coming up on today's preview show. So we're going to get Ted MacDougall's view on all that's going on at Dean Court, and plus we'll link it in to him telling his stories of his past, of which I gather he has a few. We'll also talk about the return of Eddie and co. Of course, it's not just Eddie, it's Jason, it's the coaching team, and a few former players as well. We'll also get the opposition fans' perspective too. We speak to Adam Pearson, Newcastle United YouTuber. He was outside Dean Court earlier on with myself, and he talks all things Magpies. We've got the team news and injury updates. Gary O'Neill had his presser, as did Eddie. We'll catch the latest news. Plus, Tom Jordan will be predicting both teams as well. Good luck to him with that. So as you can see, we're in a different location. We're at Brewdog in Bournemouth, pouring tons of incredible beer from themselves, but also their favourite guest breweries as well, alongside an epic range of wine, spirits and cocktails. Plus, fresh coffee, bottles and cans to take away as well. Visit them at BH2 in the centre of town. So it's a tale of two men. On Saturday, we got Eddie Howe, Newcastle manager, Cherries legend, a man for whom we owe so much. The second, Gary O'Neill, the current Cherries head coach, a man under fire amongst the fan base, with many suspecting that failure to secure a win against Newcastle could leave the writing on the wall for him. We've got to talk about Eddie. What an incredible job he's doing, Ted, at Newcastle. Did you ever doubt it?
Not really, because it's obviously how he's going to be perceived. But he's done the same thing as what he started to do at Bournemouth. He's, the whole city, Newcastle is like this walled city type of thing. It's everybody against us. Yeah. And their fan base is phenomenal. And he had to kind of do the same thing as what he did here, but maybe 100 times bigger. But it's the same thought process. And we all know what Eddie did here, and he's done the same thing there, and he's brought people around him that are, have got knowledge of that. So it kind of just pushed it along a little bit faster, and his buying's been fantastic, because everybody, he's going to get Mbappe, he's going to get all these players, and no. So he gets Trippier because he knows him from Burnley. He gets Dan Burns, who's an out Newcastle fan, lived up there, going back home type of thing. Yeah. So he had him come in, and then he had the boy that plays at the back now. It looked like he was going to be a good player. Got him. Then he got the lad Bruno, whatever his name is, in the middle of the park, doing a great job. He's done fantastic with Joelton, and obviously he's got Callum up there. So a lot of good things have happened, and I think, like most people here, are really pleased for Eddie and Jason, and with a bit of luck I might get to see them, and I'm looking forward to that. if he still recognises me. So you never know.
Sure he does.
Yeah.
It's a very different AFC Bournemouth, of course, nowadays. I mean, this season's been a roller coaster for Bournemouth fans. I mean, an opening day win, which took many by surprise, but then your Villa then started to play quite poorly, so it sort of put it into perspective quite a bit. But then we played Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and of course the Liverpool one. I don't really want to talk about that too much, but that was the match that ultimately resulted in Scott Parker being dismissed. It wasn't really the football, it's probably more what he said about his players. And then Gary O'Neill, the caretaker, one of the coaches, he then becomes caretaker. And we had a managerial bounce under him. We had a good point against Wolves, which was, considering we lost 9-0 on the Saturday, that was good. And then turning it around against Forest, a couple of good results when Bill Foley was here, a Leicester win. We have beat Everton, but then everyone's been beating Everton, so I don't know how much you take that. But then, since he's been given the job permanently, sort of hasn't really worked for him. How do you analyse the season for Bournemouth? Because it's been so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got a subscription to watch Premier League games. I've not watched one yet.
Oh. Okay.
I've watched the extended highlights, which there hasn't been many, but certainly, I see the frustration and I feel the frustration, because Eddie did one thing for me which I wasn't happy about, was the fact that he turned me from just being a supporter into a bloody fan. So I'm a bag of nerves, and I'm like you, I'm like people who watch this. I love this club and I care for them, and I get pretty emotional about it. It means a lot. It means a lot to everybody, but I just want to kind of inject some sort of kind of positivity where, we're creating a monster here. Negativity and doubt and gloom creates negativity, doubt and gloom. I mean, misery loves company. Yeah. And you got plenty of company. I mean, if you talk about the weather in Bournemouth, oh, weather's bad then. Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not right. I don't like the weather. So you'll get plenty of people who'll agree with you. Yeah. And if you think about it on the positive side, if you've been around the Winter Garden with buckets trying to get 100 quid in that bucket, you kind of know where we are, where we've come from. Don't get above your station. Don't think you're this. No, we are who we are. Yeah. Great. But we're not going to be like that. I've seen changes down the ground now. I was there today with Neil. You can see there's a difference. It's going to go a certain way, good, bad, or indifferent. But there are changes that are taking place that fans are not. They look at the field. They look at the pitch. Yeah. See, that was my Americanized kid there. I said field, didn't I? They look at the pitch and go, this is what I see. This is all, that's the parameters that I'm looking at. And it's more than that. There's more to it than this. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, obviously. What's happening in the dressing room? How are the players? I mean, we just spent 50 million. Yeah. I mean, when did Bournemouth spend 50 million? I mean, come on, give your head a shake. So these are potentially going to be really, really good players. So it's up to us as fans to give them a platform to play in. To some degree it is, because you have to take the good, bad with the indifferent. You've no guarantee to do anything unbelievable. I mean, if we look at Brighton, if we look at Brentford, maybe that's the model that we have to follow. But certainly, if we're all behind it, otherwise you're creating this frustration that builds and builds and builds, and boom. That's not good. It's not positive. Not positive for young players. These are young players that are coming in. 20, 21-year-old, 23-year-old, who want to do well. Yeah. They want to do well in an environment that is conducive for them to play and to enjoy.
In terms of that, I mean, if you look at social media at the moment, fans aren't particularly keen on Gary O'Neill as being head coach, which I can understand. And I suppose you played under John Benson, who wasn't overly popular at times.
Well, only for about a week.
Yeah. But I mean,
if you think he was bad, you should see what Alex Stock was like.
But what's it like playing for when a manager, playing for a team when a manager isn't so keenly thought of by their supporters? Is it quite a hard thing to do?
It's very hard to do, and it's very hard. You're still going out there, whether it be 10,000 or 100,000, and you're now in this environment that is like a cauldron of like negativity, toxicity,
yeah.
And it doesn't bode well. You've got to be a strong character, because we're not playing well. We don't fancy the manager. This isn't working for us. And then you start to kind of blame everybody, because it can't be you. I mean, very few footballers, it might change now because they can do their hair a little bit more, but look in the mirror and go, wow, could this possibly be about me? No. Forwards, defenders are crap. Forwards can't score a goal. Overall, manager's crap. Here we go. Let's blame whoever, but not me. Don't blame me.
Is that effectively when in football, football fans often say that players down tools? Is that what you're saying that might happen? So you're sort of looking for others, for leadership, for taking responsibility or taking the blame?
When do people look at players, the same players that Everton had? How can you trust the players? You can't just be crap for week after week, and then suddenly somebody comes in and goes, oh, okay, then I'll have a crack at this then. Why don't you get blamed? I mean, managers, in my opinion, get too much credit when things go well, and they get too much blame when things don't. The manager's not missing the chance. The manager's not making a silly mistake at the back. It's down to players. And the better the players, the easier it is to manage. Oh, guess what? The results start to happen as well. And then the confidence goes. And now you want to play. Now you do your stuff and strut your stuff. Now I'm a good player. Yeah, but I'm the same player as like 2 weeks ago.
But then when Alex Stock replaced John Benson, I think you got a 7-1 win, and you scored twice. So was that just a mentality shift? Was that just a good feeling back in the squad, or was it just
Do you know what?
something
I can't
new?
even remember that. I remember Neil telling me about that game. I said, I don't remember that game. I really don't remember that. It's just, I don't know how that happens. I don't know, but maybe it. I mean, obviously, a different voice. Some people will take it in. Some people. You got to remember, I was like an old dog here now. I was like 31 or whatever the heck I was. And I'd been around the block, and now I'm going to get, right chaps, we're going to get jolly well stuck in with Bournemouth. And I'm going, no, really, do I need this now after 31 years of age? I've come back here to play for Benno, and Benno leaves. And I thought, this is great. And it was a bloody nightmare. But it levels itself out. I mean, yeah, you can label things and say, did the club do the right thing with Gary? Why didn't they give him till the end of the season? I mean, it's all, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, isn't it? And we can all make those judgments. But at the end of the day, you make decisions based on what you feel and what you think and what you see and what people are telling you. You make the decisions, and in reflection, you look and go, that wasn't that good, or that was good. And then that decides whether you're a good communicator or you're not a good communicator.
That's interesting. So when Eddie joined, obviously he left, and when he left Bournemouth, he looked like a tired and broken man. I don't think COVID helped, because he had to do all his presses on Zoom, and then when he did leave, it took a lot of Bournemouth fans by surprise. But he's had 2 years out of the game, and he's come back. He's learned new things from different managers, including Simeone and more. He's travelled Europe. He's learned all sorts of playing styles, and at Newcastle, he's managed to create this synergy between the players, the coaches, the fan base. It seems to be a club as one again, and he's getting every last drop out of players that were, I don't want to say useless, but useless in previous seasons.
Well, Eddie,
Do you think he's a one-off? Do you think he's a one-off in football?
There's not many of them. Let's put it that way. I mean, I've played under a lot more that were managers than were coaches, for example. Eddie does both. He relishes and I watched some of his American drills and they were quite complicated. You know, you had to look and see what was going on. That's a few years ago. And he put a lot into it. But, I mean, Eddie is articulate, he's bright, he kind of sees things, he takes things in, he's tough. With play, he takes the piss as well. I mean, he's got a lot of things going that you maybe don't see on the general, when he's getting interviewed. But he's a character.
Seems like he's got more of a ruthless streak as time's gone on, both on the pitch.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's also close. I think Bournemouth, when he was Bournemouth manager, there was a brand of nice football, but we had quite a weak centre at times.
Yeah.
Now sometimes he's doing the ugly thing. He's like seeing out games. He's not playing dirty, but he's just managing to grind out the wins. Whereas previously, maybe he couldn't do that.
I think he's bright enough and cute enough to know, well, where did I go wrong? Because what he does, which the good ones do, assess yourself. That's what I said earlier. You can't keep blaming everybody else. What could I have done that would have changed things? I thought if it would have done, but I'm going to look at myself. I'm going to analyse myself. And he's articulate enough and bright to go, no, that wasn't good. I didn't handle that particularly well. Now, to Gary, I mean, the first time I spoke to Gary today, since I put him on and give him his debut for Portsmouth against Southampton at Eastleigh, in the reserves when I was the manager of the reserve team under Alan Ball. And I put him on for 2 minutes at the end, and that's the first time I've seen, we went on to have a super career. Super career, yeah, wow. First time ever. And, so when he got the job, first of all, to come in from Liverpool, and then to get, pushed into this situation, like I want him to do well. I feel an affinity towards him. But having said that, he's got, what's he drawing from?
Yeah.
We've just made the analogy about Eddie, that he's drawn on what he went through here, and it wasn't great. I didn't feel great, and he blamed himself, and he looked at himself, and he analysed himself. And I look at Gary and the boys that surround him, and you go, well, these are all good people. These are good people. How many people, I mean, Gary's put into this role. He asked for it. What's he going to do, turn it down? No. So it's not right that all this is being thrown at him and put into this situation and position. I mean, I spoke to him and I said, how are you? He said, no, I said, I'm good. He said, I'm all right, I'm okay. And I'm pleased, because he's a good man.
Does he look troubled at all? Did he come across as a troubled person who knows that we're reaching a pivotal point? Or not really?
No, he didn't. And I think he's learning on the job. And does the Premier League give you time to learn on the job?
Yeah.
Potentially not. And it's the lack of, what am I calling on? And that's why he needs help. He needs help from the crowd. He needs help from the media. Now, is he going to get that? Probably not.
Especially on Saturday when you've got his opposite number so adored. It's almost the worst game for him.
And do you know what? I shouldn't think Eddie feels great about it either, because I already heard Callum, saying, well, he wouldn't kind of, celebrate or whatever.
Did you?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I went the other way. I used to bloody hate West Ham. When I scored a goal against West Ham when I was at Norwich, I was like that to Ron Greenwood. No, I wasn't good. Eddie he got me in, I think it was their first year in the Championship, and all the players were sat there, and he was going to do this interview with me. I think he wanted something kind of positive in this, that and the other. And he asked me the first question. He said, is there any changes that you would have done? This was his first opening line. And I said, yeah, I said, it was a bit deep. I said, I would like to have been a better person. Oh, shit. And then it was like, the whole thing took a different kind of tack to what he thought it was going to be. And it was like, oh, okay. And then Matt Ritchie at the back said, did that give you an edge? I said, maybe it did, but it didn't have to be an arsehole all the time, you know. So when you go back to people and have to apologise for being such an arsehole, it's like, but you know, that's the character I was at that particular, like a little bit kind of prickly, would be the word.
So, there's a number of people that are coming down from St James's Park who we all know very well, not least, of course, Eddie, but Jason Tyndall as well, who was given the manager's job. I think probably rightly so, because he probably earned the chance to be manager. He didn't actually leave the top 6, but I think 4 losses in a row resulted in him getting the boot. Also Callum Wilson, I think he's going to be adored by many. Matt Ritchie, of course, the coaching team as well, all of whom are absolutely fantastic. And then a certain Ryan Fraser that left under a bit of a cloud. Were you ever not liked by a particular fan base, and how did you deal with it?
Do you want to rephrase that question? Was ever liked or disliked? You know, I went through all sorts of different, you know, from Bournemouth and 3 fantastic years, and then Manchester United was 17 games of like, wow, this is hard. And Manchester United has not changed really, because they don't really give you a chance, because at the end of the day they haven't got the time. They'll bring in the next guy. If you look at what was his name, the winger James, he was going down, cutting inside, and then he was cutting and going, and he was playing. Then defenders found out what he could do and what he couldn't do on his left foot or whatever. He didn't have another trick. And then what happened is, we have to get rid of him. We need to get somebody else. And that's Manchester United. If you hit the ground running, like Fernandes did when he first came, then you're laughing. Otherwise, they don't give a toss about it. So that hasn't really changed. But then I went to West Ham. But
if you are booed as a player, we don't think Fraser's going to start by all means, but I expect he will be running up and down the touchline, being a substitute. And if he is brought on, does it make you try harder as a player to get one over the fans, or do you get more of a impetus?
It depends. Are you playing at home or away? If I'm playing away and I'm playing at Bournemouth, if I'm Ryan Fraser, I'm going, you can boo me all you want, mate. I'm going to try and score a goal here, and they'll be like, I'm up for this. I could do something about it. You guys sitting there can't.
So you're saying that we should be singing "We Love You, Fraser"?
Yes, there you go. So just get in the mindset.
Never going to happen, Ted.
No, I know. And you know, it is what it is. It's you know, when you play at home, you want your fans to like you. You want your fans to kind of be behind you. I had a great time at Norwich, and then I went to Southampton, and then I had 2 great years there with big characters and stuff. You know, Ball, Osgood, Shannon, all them lads, and it was great. And but near the end, which was a typical Southampton thing, I was now becoming the older player. So now I'm getting booed. I'm kicking in when you run out at 5-3, do stretches like this, kick the ball in, and take this dirty ball, and then they were shouting, "Get him off!" I said, "I'm only shooting, I'm only kicking in. I haven't started yet." So you go through all that, and I mean and the lower the smaller the crowds, the worse it is. Funny enough, because you hear it all. I mean, I remember going, I don't know, I was non-league, and I remember one guy saying, "See you, MacDougall, you're all with the effing Hill." I said, "See you, you're never been up the fucker." So, so I didn't mind all that. I could handle that, and makes you kind of stronger, makes you kind of a little bit more resilient to, and that's what I say. I mean, if people get upset with you, you don't bother me. I mean, I've had 100,000 people telling me to F off, and what? I don't think I'm worried about you. I don't think so.
So we're checking out the league table at the moment on screen. As you can see, Newcastle in the top 4, and well, they are well positioned for a Champions League place. Whether they can last or not, we'll find out what Ted thinks. In Bournemouth, we're below the dotted line, and it's not looking particularly great. But Newcastle, obviously they're gunning for a top 4 spot, but also the League Cup. And you've got experience of playing in a League Cup final. That was for Norwich against Aston Villa, I think. And unfortunately, you lost it 1-0. But that must have been
retaking penalties. I think it was. I can't remember.
95,000 people.
Yeah.
That must be unbelievable for a player. And what was it like for the Norwich fans as well? Because Newcastle fans are going to be experiencing this at the end of the month.
I mean, the whole day. It's just like the FA Cup final, but it was was the kind of the League Cup, whatever it was called, and it was a big deal. We had green. This is John Bond for you. We had green velvet suits on.
Oh, nice.
And yellow kipper ties with the matching shirt.
So it wasn't
a great look.
No.
We should actually have played with them on, and but some of the players froze. Some of them, kind of, you're walking out there, and I've seen it, and here's me. I'm going, oh, this is great. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
You embraced it.
Yeah.
Because I was, older player then. I was like, I'd been through the mill, and I'm like, wow. And then I think it was 2 months later, I'm playing for Scotland against England at Wembley with Kenny Dalglish and Graham Souness and all that. We had a good team. Get beat 5-1. So all these Scottish fans who kind of we come on and great Scotland, yeah, great, fantastic. Fun. End of the game, yeah, bastards. They're throwing whiskey bottles, but they're all empty, There was nothing in the whiskey bottles. Yeah, bastard. Crap, yeah. And it was like, okay then, didn't go down well.
There's no
Wembley
danger.
Wasn't good.
Yeah, there's no danger that Eddie Howe will have a team that have got players that'll, suffer the same stage fright there. I'm sure that
he'll go through some of that, but I would imagine Eddie's used. He's not used to obviously being in that position, so he'd be pulling on some other resources to kind of see what happens. So and not overthinking it. This is a big deal. I mean, I looked at Newcastle, and Newcastle are a big team, but if you look at their record, I don't think they've won anything since, was it the Intercities Cup or something in 1970s or something?
Was that Newcastle?
Yes. It hasn't been, what you
it's
think
been
is
a
big
while,
club. And I mean, they're fantastic. These lads are, Newcastle, you go up there, it's fantastic.
What's it like to win silverware? Is it something that can kickstart your season?
What are you asking me that for? What would I know about that? Unless it's a knife and fork, of course.
When you're winning championships, does it kind of spur you on? For instance, like on the build-up to the League Cup final, was your attention on? I mean, is there a danger that maybe against Bournemouth tomorrow there'll be a chance that they'll be thinking of the games ahead?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think honestly,
give me something to cling on to.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm giving you something to cling on to because if we go out and there's an injection of kind of feeling good, and the crowd are helping, the crowd are behind from the get-go. There's not this kind of like frustration before they even kick a ball. It's a big. I keep going on about this, but it's a big deal. The crowd have got, and Bournemouth is very tight. It's very enclosed. It means a lot. And when you've got young players and players who are a little bit apprehensive, that's not a good feat. You can't play with the freedom and of like, wow, I just want to go and play. This is great. I can't get enough of this. But I think Eddie will go through one or two of that. I mean, especially if you get somebody who makes a run at this, like say Spurs, for example, who are looking for fourth place or whatever. That creates a nervousness that can perpetuate itself into You know, I don't want the ball. You know, we used to call them cheats because you never wanted the ball. If I coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
You know, you can't give him the ball. Fans, well, why doesn't he pass the ball? No, because you've just made a run behind the guy and I couldn't give it to you because you didn't want it.
Do you think Eddie will use the experience that he's got of being the underdog? Because I mean, look, I know that Newcastle are blessed with all this money and they've got a good squad, but you know, Spurs have got the experience of the Champions League behind them as well. They've got a manager that's been there and done it. But really, when you compare the two sides, you'd probably say Tottenham would probably shade it because you know they're the big. Well, I wouldn't say the bigger club, but they've got the history behind them. So Eddie's got the experience of the siege mentality, being the underdog. That's what he might try to instill.
Well, but Newcastle have. And that's exactly the same feeling as Newcastle fans. It's like us against everybody else. It's a bit like Scotland. It's like Hadrian's Wall. Those guys down there they don't like us, and we are this. And I think he'll call on that because you know we're so close. We're nearly there. We can create history here, boys. Yeah. We can get this because people forget it was only a matter of months ago. They were like third bottom. They were where Bournemouth are. I think that's where Eddie took over, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, he did.
People forget that, and it's not all about the money because he could have spent more. What did he go for? He went for players that he still wanted because of certain aspects of the player. It wasn't because he did, I've got money to spend, I'll just spend it. Not like the guy at Chelsea.
No, I know.
Oh, because here's another player. Oh, okay then. We'll have him then. Because we don't want them to have him. Not because I want them. We don't want them to have him.
We're obviously appeasing the Newcastle fans that are watching this by talking about Eddie quite a lot. Do we talk about him too much as Bournemouth fans? Do we talk about him too much? Does he get too much credit?
Well, no, he should get all the credit he deserves. But my point is that the reason they're mentioning it is because we're not doing well and they are. And that could have been us. Yeah. And, well, it wasn't.
I mean, there was a natural ceiling to what he could achieve at Bournemouth, really, wasn't there?
100%. I mean, maybe with this lad's money, maybe that would have made a difference. Maybe it wouldn't. I still think he would have gone on for the same type of players as what he went on and made sense. I think his signings have been very, very astute and clever, and he's got the best out of players. That, you know, Joelton wasn't a great success when he went there. Oh, didn't realise he was a midfield player. Oh, thought he was a centre forward. No, it only took 2 years to figure that out. Who signed him?
Yeah.
What scouting people saw him then? And then Callum is you know, because he has his injuries and stuff, but he's a good character. I mean, I love Callum. With a bit of luck, I'll see them, and I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing them because, like everybody, you know, I love them and I love what they did here, and you can't get away from that. Yeah. And it is what it is. And but no, I don't think he gets too much credit. I think he's inspirational. And
when you mentioned Callum Wilson there, obviously when he joined Newcastle, when Steve Bruce was manager, who was much maligned at the time, which kind of brings me to my next question. When you were a player, I mean, obviously we've had this huge transfer window where we spent £54 million or whatever it is. One of the key questions that I always wonder, and what fans sometimes wonder, is does the manager have some kind of pull and sway? When you look at a particular club, you're looking at who the manager is, thinking, oh yeah, like, I want to join that club. I'm sure that Eddie's got it because he's earned that reputation, but Gary O'Neill, he doesn't really have that reputation. You know, did you ever sign for a club, you know, based on the manager, or was it not really a consideration? Was it the gravitas or size of the club?
Well, I went to answer that question. I went to Manchester United, who were about fourth bottom then when I went there. Dennis Law was coming to the end. Bobby Charlton was coming to the end. George Best had gone missing. Yeah. And they were in transition. Bad move. Yeah. Especially, I'm not going to be able to beat people. I'll make the runs. I made good runs, But if you don't see my runs, I might as well sit up with you in the stand.
Who's the manager when you joined? Frank, was it Frank somewhere?
Frank. Now, Frank O'Farrell was a big mate of, guess who? John Bond.
Oh, okay.
So that he'll look after you, which he was a good man, Frank was. And then, but the job was too big for him.
Yeah.
It was bad, because there's people behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
You know, at that time it was Busby.
Yeah.
And then when, like now, where you've had all this time, you've had Alec Ferguson.
Yeah.
He never let it go, and everybody's always looking over their shoulders. Let it go. Just don't go to the games. Don't get involved in that, directly or indirectly. So then I went to. So now it was a bad time, and then I went to West Ham. Why? Because John Bond said Ron Greenwood would be great for you. It was a bloody disaster, Ron Greenwood. I mean, honestly, he couldn't organise a piss up in the brewery. I mean, he was like, and it never. I mean, I was one of them. You know, you have to see the decent things I was doing. It wasn't easy for me to kind of go back and tackle, but if I did it, please recognise it, because I'm doing this because you're asking me to do it. There was nothing about it. He was good on the game, but man management, oh God, no. I mean, Bobby Moore was a dear friend of mine, and he said, don't worry about him and this, that, and the other. So that was another bloody disaster. So then John Bond got the job at Norwich. And then all the other lads came, Tony Powell and Charlie Boyer and all the other lads. And we all went on to play in the First Division. And it kind of it was a reflection on how good the team was, because we were playing Third Division at that time. And we all went on to play in the First Division, which was great. And we played really, really well. I mean, some of the stuff that we did and some of the runs, and it was all about attacking, it was all about going forward. It never worked on anything defensively. It's all about, we've got, you know, we've got the best centre forward in the country. Why wouldn't we get him the ball? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I agreed with everything he said.
Yeah, of course you would.
And it was everything was positive, everything was going forward, everything was like Eddie. And I'll go back to the beginning of this. Positivity is such an important factor in this.
Yeah.
And where does the positivity come from? Where does it start? It starts from people like you. It starts from, of course you're frustrated.
You were saying on Monday that it was probably a little bit more negative than positive.
I mean, I watch your show and I think it's been great. I really do, and it gives me, from 3,000 miles away, it gives me an insight into what's going on, and it's fantastic. And I really appreciate it. And then I saw this show that came out of left field, and I said, and I thought, wow, it's a bit strong, that, because it was bordering on venting, and venting is okay, but when you've got three of you on there, it's like, oh, here we go, misery loves company again. Here we go. It's all about, well, has he got to go? Well, yeah, next week he's got to go, or whatever. And it's like, hold on a minute. Where's another point of view?
Yeah.
Why can't we change the narrative? Why can't we just, hey, come on, wake up here. We've got a chance to stay in this Premier League. You're not going to need 40 points.
True. Yeah,
probably
true,
35, 36, maybe even less. The league's not very good.
No.
I'm sorry, it's not very
it's
good.
Not, you're right, yeah. That brings me to a point, actually. I got a direct message, actually. That, someone who said exactly the same thing as you did. It was from Steve Perry, and he said it seemed particularly harsh and gloomy. He disagreed a fair bit with some of our catastrophising, both on and off the pitch. He also suggested that the ink is barely dry from some of the new signings that we've made. Hopefully they'll have a difference. I think they have made a difference so far.
Yeah.
Now, we can only sign those players with the money that's come in from the new takeover. Being someone that's both played and lives in America, I just wondered, based on one of Bill Foley's first interviews on AFCB TV, I think it was, he sort of said, we won't get relegated, which I thought, oh my goodness, like that's some statement. I think a lot of Bournemouth fans thought it was maybe a little bit naive. I just wondered, do you think he understands the cutthroat nature of football, especially Premier League football, especially British football as well?
Well, I mean, certainly they don't understand the promotion and relegation, which makes our game great.
True.
I mean, that's the thing that is the difference, because you're not going to go in, it's, let's say, the National Football League and spend 500 million or a billion for a team, and you go, well, you can get relegated, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound, no, I'm not having that. So they lose that dynamic, you know, situation that we have with promotion and relegation that goes right to the end of the season. I mean, if you were Jacksonville and you lose the first 3 games of a 17-game season, you're enough done.
Yeah.
You're done. You know, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of, and then you'll play the same team next year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, then they don't understand the promotion. They understand the fundamentals of it. They don't understand what it means that you can get promotion here. You can get relegated here, and then when they have the playoffs, like you're going half the league that are still involved in.
Yeah,
fantastic,
yeah.
Fantastic. It makes it for excitement. You know, you get the windows. The windows are great. I mean, like I'm on my phone every other hour, especially if we're buying some players. This is great. Yeah. I spoke to the Ukrainian boy today.
Oh
met
wow,
him.
yeah.
Nice guy,
and
and I've seen some stuff on him, and he's a dirty bastard. I mean,
he's supposed to be a very, very wily but good player.
He gets tight, and he's your old-fashioned one. And I spoke to Richard Hughes and Simon about, and they said, yeah, he's like that.
Wow.
And he's quick, and he's played a lot of games. I mean, he's got, for 20, whatever the heck he is, he's played a lot of games, and he can't wait to get started and stuff. That's another one. Come on. And now I read yesterday, because I'm always reading about it, that we're in. I speak to Neil, because Neil hasn't got a clue what's going on. He was the secretary and he hasn't got a clue. He doesn't give me the inside info or whatever. And we're supposed to be in for a Brazilian 19-year-old boy, 9 million.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
And you know, we have to temper all this negativity, and I can't say it enough times. I really can't, because this is good times for Bournemouth.
But to use a Tom Jordanism,
Cap,
put your cap on. He said on the overlap, he said before, you wouldn't give a brand new Ferrari though to a person that hasn't got a driving licence, which was a good analogy.
Why not? If he got the money for it. He wouldn't know. He'd never drunk. Never.
Yeah. But is that that's a problem that Bournemouth fans constantly look at.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. Those are easy analogies. Those are easy things to kind of equate things to. That's not Gary's fault.
No, it's definitely
Gary was put into a position and situation where, if you're any person at all, and he's been through it. I mean, Gary's been through it. No, I won't take that job, thanks. I'll stay as the number whatever, and still get fired because somebody else is coming in with their own guys.
Yeah.
No, I think I can do it. I'm confident I can do it.
Do you think the length of contract was 18 months, which is perhaps reflective of maybe their caution with it?
Well, no, I personally think Gary would have snapped their fingers off at 6 months till the end of the season.
You would have done that as well, yeah.
You know, I thought that would have been I thought that's what they would have done, and we'll reassess this after 6 months, because, you know, one swallow doesn't make a summer.
I think the World Cup break probably didn't help things, because obviously he got those couple of wins against Everton in the League Cup, and then in the league as well. And then at that point, it's almost like they were forced into making a decision over the summer. I think had the World Cup not been there, and he kept on getting results, I think they would have probably just thought, oh, actually, let's just keep this going, under pressure of not knowing whether he's going to get it or not.
The problem with a manager that's taken this position, you are, once again, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, where Gary made decisions about keeping people on or taking people off, where you don't know all the facts. If somebody is getting tired, if somebody has got a slight niggle or whatever, you might not see it as a fan. You just see, why are you taking him off? And I think it's important that you get to know the whole thing, what's going on, as opposed to little bits and pieces. And I think, unfortunately, when it turns out to be 85th minute, 87th minute, where we could have got a point, like the 2 points we lost at Forest, wasn't it? A month ago, was it?
Oh, Leeds. Sorry. Yeah. Leeds and then Spurs. Oh, sorry, you're talking about the Forest home game? Yes, yeah.
Where we were winning and then they scored.
Sam Surridge.
So, and it had to be Sam, wouldn't it? Yeah. So at the end of the day, people look on that and go, well, he's making all these rookie mistakes, and you can make a case for that.
One of the things that you may not know this, but this is from today's press conference. It seems that Gary O'Neill has named Neto, the keeper, as new captain, with Adam Smith as vice captain.
Yeah.
I wonder what that means for Lloyd Kelly. Because we all said that sometimes I think the weight of captaincy sometimes has affected the way he plays.
I think that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah?
I really do. I mean, captain, all you're doing is flicking a coin. Even I could be captain and flick a coin, only I would probably get it wrong and we'd go across the field instead of up and down. But, come on, man. Those are just hypothetical. It's not like a cricket.
Yeah.
Where I win the toss, I can look at the weather and put my bowlers on or whatever. It makes that makes some sort. I shouldn't talk about cricket with Neil here. And all I'm saying is that a captain is just a reflection on, obviously the character of the team and stuff. And I don't think at this moment in time we've got a character in as a team. I think with Adam. Now, here's one for you. So at the end of the game, because I look at the extended highlights, which aren't many, and everybody seemed to be upset or not upset, but Neto was pissed off. He was really upset.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Why not?
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Why not? That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And now I hear, like when we went over there from certain people, he's a good character, this lad, and he's old school, and he's in your face. Jeez, hello. This is great.
So it's not necessarily a bad, because I think sometimes, do you think the status of being a captain has been elevated beyond what it actually is, wearing an armband and just going up shaking hands? And,
really? I mean, this is another thing. The modern game is gone to so many different levels. Was it better in my day? Was it hell? Was it hell better than my day? I would never be one of them old farts. Better than my day, We never did that. No. It is 100% better today. The pitches, the training, the nutrition, the diet, everything is fantastic. Is being elevated. We had John Kirk, and he had this ultrasound. That when the ultrasound came out, and you put the oil, not the oil, but the grease on there, and he's rubbing, and he didn't realise for 2 weeks this machine was broken.
Oh no!
And somebody says, "Hey John, there's no light on that." He said, "What do you mean? There's a light?" So for 2 weeks he's working his ultrasound on your muscle, and it doesn't work. But that's a fact.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So all of those stories are, come on. I mean, you know, no. But captains, come on, you know, have some balls.
Yeah.
Have some balls and show some, and just go, hey, no, I'm going to win this game. And you're going through. I'm going through you to win it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's like my pet peeve is corner kicks. The zonal marking. Are you kidding me? You got your best centre half on the 6 yard, and now I've got Billy Gilmore marking Virgil van Dijk. Let's say. Oh, Virgil van Dijk just scored. What a surprise! He just knocked him over.
Weird that. Yeah.
A bit like the lad from Arsenal last week. Tarkowski had 2 headers, and he knocked this lad is a good player. This midfield player. What's his name again?
Odegaard.
Odegaard.
Yeah.
Good player. Do you think he honestly wants to be back there as a blocker, marking Tarkowski? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, good point.
He's knocked him over.
Yeah.
He scores. What a shock. Didn't see that coming.
No.
Same thing as what we do. You ask people in the game, why do you do that? Oh, everybody does it. Okay then. Must be right then.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's so interesting to hear you say that. And it's interesting to hear your thoughts on the captaincy as well. So that's one of the things that came out of Gary O'Neill's press conference. In a moment, we're going to get Tom's predicted teams. But look, we need to get a view from the opposition as well. Earlier, outside Dean Court, I spoke to Newcastle United YouTuber Adam Pearson. And whilst he speaks, we'll also get the team news going across the bottom of your screen as well. But how does he feel about the Magpies season? We'll find out. So Adam is here. Adam, how you doing, mate? You alright?
I'm doing good. I'm a bit tired after coming down yesterday. It took 6 hours in the train to get here, but we arrived at Bournemouth. I'm great. I'm very happy to be here. First time being to the Vitality Stadium actually, so I'm looking forward to the match tomorrow, and fingers crossed, of course, Newcastle go out and get those 3 points.
I'm here in 3 layers. I've got my coat, I've got my jumper t-shirt, and Adam's just braving it. But mate, let's talk about what it means to you tomorrow, because there's no emotion tomorrow, is there? Whereas for us, well, there's a lot to it. It's Eddie and his team coming down. First time we've seen him. For you, it's just another away game where you need 3 points, isn't it?
Well, I would say so for the team, to be fair. Yeah, I still think it'd be a bit of emotion Eddie Howe's side of things, because it's the first time he's come back to Bournemouth Stadium. As you just said, he never got a chance to say goodbye to him. So I'm still thinking the manager side, I think it'll be a bit emotional for him. But Eddie Howe's quite professional. I remember Burnley last season, of course, that's a team he used to manage for quite a while. They needed to win to stay up. We went there, beat them, and because of Leeds' result elsewhere, they went down. So Eddie Howe will be professional. You go out tomorrow and you play as if it's any of our team. So I'm expecting us tomorrow to go out there and give it a really good go. I think especially in the last few weeks or so, we seem to dried up a bit in the goals. I think performance-wise, we're still playing decently well, but I think especially in a couple of weeks' time with that Carabao Cup final coming up, we've got to go to the likes of Bournemouth and hopefully put a few goals away and get that confidence up a bit. But as for tomorrow, I mean, the time will tell, but I'm confident. I'm happy to be down here, and I'm just hoping that we can get the job done.
You're just talking about your January form, just looking at it on the screen now. I suppose it's a tale of 2 cups, isn't it? You exited the FA Cup, but your Carabao Cup run has taken you to Wembley. We've all seen, if you follow Adam on Twitter, that he pre-booked his hotel as soon as they beat Bournemouth pre-Christmas. That's a ballsy move from you, but it paid off. You've got your hotel sorted for Wembley, and you know, I'm sure people have asked you this before. If you had to take one, top 4 or a cup win, which one would you have?
Well, I've always picked the cup, to be honest. I never really get this argument, to be honest, because you could take top 4, but Newcastle would just get battered in the Champions League anyway. So I don't really get the appeal to it. I think long term it'd be better for Newcastle to finish top 6, top 8, and slowly get your way up there. I think going in top 4 straight away would just have a bit of a negative effect on the squad. So as much as I love Champions League football, I mean, you got to pick a cup final or a cup win over every single time. So I never really get that argument, to be honest. I'll always pick the cup over the top 4.
Talk to me about what he's done then, because we did a show, the cards at the top actually, called The Truth About Eddie Howe, and that was on the day that it was announced. And there were a fair few Newcastle fans that maybe didn't really know much about him. There were a few stereotypical opinions, like, you know, he was the manager that got Bournemouth relegated, but it's clear to see him, Jason Tindall, or MacDougall as you call him, and all his team have worked wonders. It seems to have created this massive a community spirit. The fans feel close to the club again. They're doing lots of behind the scenes stuff. There's a photo of the team after every game. It all seems to be like as one.
Yeah, well, I've always felt it was a bit tough for Eddie Howe when he first came to Newcastle, because there was a few days prior where Newcastle were very close to getting Unai Emery, and there was loads of speculation regarding him. Of course, he's won 4 Europa Leagues, so we had that going into his favour. And as well as I think a lot of fans, including myself, to be honest, probably were a bit stereotypical and went, well, Eddie Howe last season with Bournemouth didn't go too well for them, but forgetting the fact that he's took them from League Two to the Premier League. So yeah, I think a lot of fans probably were against him when he first came in, just due to the fact that I've always felt like Eddie Howe was probably a kind of manager he could potentially get in, even with Mike Ashley around. So when he got all this money coming in, you're thinking, was it really a good appointment? But now he's been phenomenal. The way he's actually improved players, not just getting good players in, but the way we're actually improving players is amazing. Our first signing, Kieran Trippier, mainly joined because of Eddie Howe, so that was a really big one. I think especially getting him as your first signing since the takeover was a huge move from the club. So I mean, it's been exceptional. We finished 11th last season, bearing in mind after the first 20 games or so we were winless and 19th in the league. So far this year, we're still in the top 4. We win them all against Bournemouth, we go third in the table. We're in a cup final for the first time in my lifetime. So we've got all these different things coming in for Eddie Howe. He's been exceptional. I really do see him as a long-term manager at the club.
You mentioned your new signing there, but one of your new signings. But it's not just that. It's your Almirons, it's your Joe Lintons, it's your Longstaffs that, like, all of a sudden look like world beats. He's a manager that we all knew. He took us up to the Premier League from the Championship with a team of misfits, but he just gets every last drop out of them, and it seems to be doing the same. Like Almiron, for instance, he's a man possessed. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think Almiron's really upped his game this season. I think last season he scored once in 36 matches, and then straight away he gets Player of the Month for this year. He scores about 6 games in a row or something like that. I think he's on double figures in all competitions, if not 9 goals. He's been really, really good. I'm really happy to see him do well. And I mean, that's a player who had about 5 years and he's only just kicked on now. So you've got to, of course, give Eddie Howe a lot of credit for that. As for our players, I mean, Joe Linton's just different levels. I mean, £40 million, you sign him as a striker. He's an awful striker, I've got to be honest. But you're dropping back into a number 7 role. He's just, honestly, he plays everyone off the park in midfield. Him and Bruno are such a good partnership, and he's very close to getting his first Brazil call up, I think. So he was a huge one as well. And even lesser players, for example, like so Kraft, Lascelles, Shaw, I think you put class as a lesser player last season. These players, everyone seems to be upping their game a bit, and it's I mean, it's just testament to the managerial skills as well as his coaching staff. Of course, you know Tindo quite well, like the rest of his coaching staff. Just everything seems to be clicking at the minute. Everything seems to be going in the right direction for Newcastle. So it's something I'm hoping keeps up. But there's no reason to suggest why it would drop off, because I think Newcastle will be playing that well.
It could be a tale of two managers at Dean Court, because obviously I think a lot of Bournemouth fans will be singing Eddie's name at some point. Hopefully not during the game, but I'm sure we will beforehand and afterwards. And we've got Gary O'Neill that is under pressure, and I've got a feeling that if he loses this game, his job's going to be on the line. He'll probably be going. I presume you wouldn't be recommending Steve Bruce to succeed Gary O'Neill should he get sacked, no?
No, I would not. No, thankfully he's retired now. He should be nowhere near any Premier League level club. He's just, that was a bad time. That's what I'm going to say. But I do feel for Bournemouth fans a bit. I feel like, especially just, I mean, it's not like you're not spending money, of course. You just had that takeover. You spent more money than Newcastle in the January transfer window, but as you said there, your manager just, I mean, you got to have a Premier League level manager, and he just doesn't seem to be experienced at all. So it's one of those ones where it looks like at the minute Bournemouth will go back down to the Championship. All it takes is a couple of wins in your favour, though, and you get yourself back out of the bottom 3. But I feel like with the run of games you got coming up, and just, I mean, I've watched Bournemouth a bit this season. It's not a great watch, to be honest. So yeah, I feel for you a bit, but I fully expect you to come back up if you go down. I don't think it's a case that you're going to start shooting off a bit. Of course, you take a one out to get you straight back up, so you should be fine. But unfortunately, this season I'm not that confident in you. So
it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an emotional one for us. Maybe not so much for Eddie. He'll keep a lid on it, I'm certain. Right, Gon, I'm going to have to ask you for a prediction. What are you going for?
Well, I'm going to be a bit brutal, to be honest. I'm going to go 3-0 to Newcastle. I feel like we're needing a game where we just put a bunch of goals away. I think that's probably Newcastle's potential biggest problem since we came back from the World Cup, where we're not converting chances enough. I feel like we need a match where, with all due respect, we've got a 19th in the Premier League Bournemouth. You've got a team that's struggling at the minute. We just need a match we can go out there and just kick into someone, to be honest. So as horrible as it may sound, I'm hoping for a nice comfortable win.
Nice one, Adam. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, great to speak to Adam Pearson there. Check the link in the description below and subscribe to him. He does some really good things with Newcastle United content, including loads of stuff like early days when Eddie joined as well. Some really interesting videos as well. So given the team news that we've just seen on screen, what does Tom Jordan think about the teams? He's going to predict both of them. Good luck, Tom.
So for the Bournemouth team, I'm expecting a 4-3-3 kind of system again. I'm going to go with our new captain, Neto in goal. Across the back, 4 from right to left, Adam Smith, Chris Mepham, Marcos Senesi and Jordan Zamora. I think the 3 in the midfield, obviously Jefferson Lerma will be the deepest, with Phil Billing and Hamed Traore either side. Off that left-hand side, we'll have Jaden Anthony. Off the right-hand side, Dango Ouattara. And then wishful thinking, through the middle, Dominic Solanke. Going into Newcastle, it'll be a similar system. I think they will start with Nick Pope in goal. Back 4 again from right to left of Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Sven Botman and Dan Burn. The 3 in the middle, it will probably be Sean Longstaff sitting the deepest of the 3, with Joe Willock to the right and Joe Linton to the left. Off their left-hand side, Alain St. Maximum. Off the right-hand side, it will be Miguel Almiron, and through the middle, welcome back, Callum Wilson. They're my team predictions. Let us know if you think I've got them right. I'm confident about this weekend's predictions, actually. Maybe not so much about the game.
There you go, those are Tom's predicted teams. I can't wait for the game tomorrow, but equally, it's going to be a strange atmosphere. It's going to be really strange. There's some people we love and adore, there's some people we're nonplussed about, there's some people we don't like, and we haven't even gotten to our team yet, and we've got to cheer them on as well.
You're talking about the family.
Yeah, exactly. How do you know? It's going to be an entertaining game, hopefully, in front of the Sky cameras. What are you wanting to see from Bournemouth tomorrow?
I haven't seen a live game for, my goodness me, it must be 2 years. I'm writing it, I follow it. I
know what the last one was. It was Swansea.
No, it was
Swansea. We won 4-0.
We won 4-0. There you go. See, so we'll probably do the same thing tomorrow.
If that happens, I'll be delighted.
I'm looking forward to seeing the new players. I'm looking forward to see how and then I'll have a different point of view, if you ask me, because now I've seen it live. I've seen the whole thing, because I don't just watch that. I'm watching other aspects of the game. I mean, I know my football. I see a lot of things that make sense or don't make sense, and it's nice. It would be nice to see the whole thing, because I guarantee that when I've seen this, I'll have a different kind of perspective on, my views about surviving or whatever. But we have already survived the winter garden. We've already survived, the changing of the ground and not having any money and being days away from.
Yeah, there are different levels of survival, isn't it? I mean, survival in the Premier League. We're not losing our club.
Terrible, terrible thing. Premier League. Yeah. Ask yourself that 10 years ago. Premier League, where's that?
Even if we do get relegated, the Championship was so fun.
No, we won't get relegated.
Well, no, but if we do, worst case scenario.
Is there a chance?
Well,
of course there is.
Yeah, we'll see.
You put 2 or 3 games together, like Forest have done. Okay, there's games it's going to be difficult, and there's games you've got to say, right, hold on a minute, lads. We got to get this is one that we're going to win, but you have to go for it as well.
Yeah.
Now that's where managers can get a bad rap, because you didn't really give it a go. And if you give it a go and you put it all in, and something happens, you give away a penalty or whatever, I think you'll find there's a different kind of feel about, hey, they had a right go today. And I was proud of them today.
Yeah.
And we should be proud, and we should be proud where we're at, because it's fantastic. When I come back here, it's fantastic to come back. And we live in the best place, or you guys live in the best place in the country. Players want to come here. You're talking about, well, do they want to come for Gary O'Neill? Maybe not, but they want to come for the beach. They want to come for the, you know, because this is a nice place. Yeah. And those are the positive things, you know, that you have to kind of embrace. And we don't, because it's, oh shit, it's crap. And you'll go, yeah, it's right. Hey Tom, you're right, it's crap. You know, and here we go. So,
yeah, it's been superb. Look, we're just going to take a look at our head-to-head record. Last time we managed to beat Newcastle United, 4th of November 2017. That was up at their place. That was a 1-0. I think that was Steve Cook's last-minute header. But since then, we've drawn, we've lost. It's not been so good. Last time we played them at St James's, of course, that was a 1-0 loss at Dean Court. It was a 4-1 loss. That was during lockdown as well. That was a difficult one to watch on Sky Sports. But this one on Sky Sports, hopefully, will be a lot more enjoyable. Ted, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
And up the chest.
Up the chest. He knows the catchphrase. We'll see you at Dean Court tomorrow. If you want to come on camera for the free-for-all, you know where we'll be. And then, yeah, fingers crossed, 3 points. Up the Cherries.